Welcome, my friend. Today, what you are about to hear might completely change the way you think about learning English. Not because it's full of complicated grammar or secret vocabulary tricks, but because it reveals something most teachers never tell you. Something simple, powerful, and life-changing. You see, many people study English for years. They watch videos. They memorize words. They read books. And yet, when it's time to speak, their mouth freezes, their heart beats faster, their voice disappears, and they begin to think, maybe I'm just not good at speaking. But the truth is, it's not their English that's broken. It's their training. Because here's a secret. Fluency doesn't start in your brain. It starts in your mouth. If your mouth doesn't move, your English never will. You can read 10,000 words, watch hundreds of lessons, even dream in English. But if your lips, your tongue, and your jaw are not trained, your voice will always feel trapped. You've trained your memory, but you forgot to train your muscles. And that's why today's story is so important. It's not just about English. It's about confidence, courage, and the power of your own voice. This is the story of a young man named Ethan, a student who spent years learning English in silence, until one simple discovery transformed his fluency forever. His journey will teach you that English is not a subject to study. It's a skill to train. Ethan grew up in a small city where English was everywhere, on signs, in songs, in movies, but not in people's mouths. Everyone wanted to speak it, but no one dared to try. In school, he was a top student. He could fill pages with perfect grammar, answer every written question, and even translate whole paragraphs. But when his teacher asked him, "Ethan, can you tell us about your weekend?" His confidence shattered. His voice cracked. His mouth refused to move. The whole class went silent. Ethan felt his face burn with shame. That moment haunted him for years. He told himself, "I understand everything, but I can't speak." And that became his reality. He learned in silence. He understood in silence. He lived in silence. One evening, while scrolling through his phone, he came across an online video of an old English coach named Mr. Collins. The man said something Ethan had never heard before. Fluency is a physical skill. If your mouth doesn't move, your English never improves. Those words hit him hard. Collins continued, "You've trained your brain, but you've ignored your mouth. You don't need more grammar. You need more movement." That night, Ethan stood in front of his mirror, curious and nervous. He looked at his reflection, his uncertain eyes, his tight lips, and whispered, "My name is Ethan. I live in Seoul. I want to speak English fluently." His voice sounded awkward, even foreign to his own ears. But something inside him shifted. For the first time, he wasn't just studying English. He was feeling it move through him. The next morning, he did it again. And again, the day after that. Each time, he stood a little taller. His lips opened wider. His tongue began to move faster. The sentences that once felt heavy now rolled out like a river. He wasn't reciting. He was performing. The mirror became his first audience. One day, his sister walked past the room and laughed. "Ethan, are you talking to yourself?" He smiled shyly and said, "No, I'm training my mouth." She didn't understand, but Ethan didn't care, because something amazing was happening. After 2 weeks of mirror speaking, his fear started to fade. He noticed that when he spoke English, his body moved differently. His eyes met his reflection with confidence. His voice grew stronger. A few days later, he tried something new, the looping method. He picked one simple sentence and repeated it 20 times. "I am confident when I speak English." At first, it felt robotic, but with each repetition, It began to sound real. His mouth started to believe what his mind was saying. He added emotion, sometimes calm, sometimes excited, sometimes powerful. Soon those words weren't just sentences. They were his truth. 3 weeks passed. One afternoon, a tourist in his city asked him for directions. Ethan's heart jumped. The same fear he'd always felt returned. But then, his mouth spoke before his brain had time to panic. Yes, go straight and turn left near the cafe. The tourist smiled and thanked him. It was a short moment, just 7 words. But for Ethan, it was a victory. His silence had finally broken. From that day, he practiced speaking everywhere. In front of his mirror, while brushing his teeth, while walking to work. He spoke sentences again and again until they flowed naturally. How are you today? Can I get some water? I love learning new things. He looped them, stretched them, shaped them. His mouth was no longer a stranger to English. It was his instrument. One evening, Mr. Collins called him for a progress session. Ethan spoke with confidence and clarity, something Collins noticed immediately. You've been practicing, he said. Ethan smiled. Every day, sir. But sometimes I can't speak out loud, like in the bus or in the library. Collins nodded and replied, then use silent speaking. Move your mouth without sound. Feel every shape, every breath, every rhythm. Fluency begins even when the world is quiet. Ethan followed that advice. In silence, he practiced word by word, forming each sound with his lips and tongue. People thought he was just thinking, but he was training. His muscles were memorizing English. His jaw learned rhythm. His breath learned control. He discovered that even in silence, he could still grow. A month later, Ethan faced a real test. His company hosted an event where he had to welcome foreign guests. His old fear whispered, "You'll freeze again." But this time, he smiled. He had trained for this moment. As the guests arrived, he walked up confidently and said, "Good evening, everyone. My name is Ethan, and I'm so happy to welcome you here today." His colleagues turned in surprise. His English was clear, calm, and warm. No hesitation, no fear. His voice filled the room. That night, after the event, Ethan walked home under the city lights. He remembered the boy who once couldn't say a single sentence in class. And now, here he was, speaking to people from around the world with ease. Tears filled his eyes, but they were not from sadness. They were from pride, because he finally understood what fluency really means. It's not about perfection. It's about practice. It's not about sounding native. It's about sounding alive. He wrote in his journal that night, "Fluency is freedom. And freedom comes when your mouth finally learns to move without fear." From that day on, Ethan made a promise. Every morning he would train, not just his brain, but his mouth. He created his own system. Mirror talk for confidence, sentence looping for rhythm, silent speaking for precision, role play for real-life courage. He even recorded himself on camera for 2 minutes every day. Watching his own videos became his favorite part of the evening. Each clip showed progress. Stronger voice, clearer pronunciation, brighter energy. 6 months later, Ethan uploaded his first English video online titled, "My Journey to Fluency." He didn't expect much, but within days, thousands of learners from around the world commented saying, "You inspired me. I feel the same. I'll start training my mouth today." Ethan realized something beautiful. His voice had not only set him free, it had also helped others find their own. He became the teacher he once needed. And every time someone asked him, "How did you learn to speak English so fluently?" he smiled and said, "I stopped studying and started training." I trained my mouth every single day. Because true fluency doesn't come from memorizing rules. It comes from movement, from sound, from breath, from repetition. The mouth learns through doing, not through thinking. So, if you've been feeling stuck, if you understand English but can't speak it, remember Ethan's journey. Remember that your mouth is waiting for you to give it permission to move. Don't wait for confidence to appear. Create it through practice. Speak to your mirror. Loop your sentences. Whisper your words in silence. Record your voice. Play with emotion. Let your lips, tongue, and breath become your greatest teachers. English is not something you learn. It's something you live. And once you train your mouth to move, your voice will no longer hide in your head. It will rise, powerful and clear for the world to hear. Because your fluency doesn't start with knowledge. It starts with courage. And courage begins with one simple step. Open your mouth and speak.